there, and welcome back to Weird Soda for Life. Today, we're going to find out if trying this soda is a cherry good idea. Ah? Ah? You get it anyway. Welcome back. Today, we are trying Sprecher's Door County Cherry Soda, and turns out that I thought that we had Sprecher sodas on the channel before. That's not to say sodas that Sprecher has purchased, because again, we've had that Green River, we had that blonde root beer from a few weeks ago. I really thought that we had a Sprecher main flagship soda on the channel before, and after looking through like the videos and stuff, I don't think we have. I think I've mentioned it, but we haven't had it. So we had to remedy that, right? And so I'm a cherry Coke fan. Um, so I figured why not this? It also helped that Mr. Weird bought this for me and was like, I think you'll enjoy this. So if I don't, that's his problem. But with that, let's talk a little bit about this. Uh, as I was doing research, as you know I do, I was torn on whether to do the history of Sprecher or the history of cherry soda, because both are actually very, very interesting. Um, but I think you're going to get a little history about cherries because I'm going to lean more on the brewery. So let's get started there. First things first, turns out Sprecher's older than I thought it was. Not older, younger than I thought it was. It's still older than me, but it was founded in 1985. I had just been laboring under the idea that it was a pre-prohibition like brewer. Um, but nope. But it's kind of a little bit interesting how it got started. So first things first, we have its founder, Randy Sprecher. Now, Mr. Sprecher is a veteran of the Vietnam War and was stationed in Germany. And while he was there, like in the early 70s, he learns about craft brewery, right? And so he comes back to the States and he like enrolls in the University of California, Davis in their fermentation science program. Now, you and I may think of that as, oops, I left this too long underneath the bed and now it has turned into some vinegary wine. And if that hasn't happened to you, maybe we just don't maybe we just don't talk about it. Or I am kidding, but or am I? But anyway, so he enrolls, he learns the science, and he tries to start like a microbrewery in California. It doesn't work out. Heads to Wisconsin, where he starts working for Pabst, them of the blue ribbon sodas, not sodas, blue ribbon beer that is really pervasive in a lot of bars. But does that, learns to craft, and then in 1985 decides, deuces, gonna do my own thing. So he creates Sprecher Brewing. And what's utterly fascinating by this is that sodas weren't there to start with. In fact, it was focused on European craft beers, and um, which was fascinating to me because I'll be honest with you, the first time I saw Sprecher, I saw it associated with their sodas. I hadn't actually seen a Sprecher beer until I went to Wisconsin to be with Mr. Weird and Mr. Weird's family. So that was kind of cool. Um, but how do we get to beer to soda? Now, we've talked about this, and again, this might be why I kind of thought it was pre-prohibition-y. There are a lot of breweries that that during prohibition picked up the soda trade because, well, they couldn't legally sell alcohol, right? And so it sort of follows the same path. But if you've been to like local breweries, you know, a lot of them do local tours. And so folks are coming in doing tours of the brewery and they're bringing their kids. And their kids don't have anything to drink. And so, being an enterprising business person, Mr. Sprecher decides, you know what? The children yearn for the sodas, and that's how we get root beer. And so Sprecher root beer comes out, and so After that, like, they start rolling out other sodas. And in fact, one of the main sodas they roll out is the cherry soda, um, which is really, really kind of nice. Now, what's fascinating, and I'm going to go into a little bit about this, but actually, Sprecher's website has a really, really cool blog, heavily researched on how kind of like the weirdness of how cherries got to America and how they took over. But the very, very short version of it is maraschino cherries. You know those things in the jar with the syrup? So they are based in Croatia and they got super popular in the early 1900s and people brought them back to America. But again, liquor, right? Not legal. So this dude creates this process where he replaces the liquor with sugar. Uh, the color also process to preserve them also removes all the color of the cherries, and so the sugar that he's putting the cherries in is that unnatural shade of red, so a little bit like my shirt. And so that's where you eat the maraschino cherries. Those become very popular. People like them in their drinks. And so people are like, oh, I can add this to that. What's also fascinating too is that cherries in their own right are finicky, finicky fruits. And it's really, really bizarre that they can grow where they grow in Wisconsin. Like it's not part of the like there's different um I don't want to say weather patterns, but there's different growths. There's like 13 different regions within the U.S. Where certain things grow based on temperature and humidity and all the other things. Science beyond my pay grade. I'm just a random librarian who loves soda. So like you've really come to the wrong channel for a deep dive in science. But long story short, Door County is really weird for that. And the reason why it is called Door County cherry soda is because Door County is famous in Wisconsin for providing cherries. And so, of course, they're going to get the cherries from the source. A couple other things that I want to add before we move on to the actual reason you watch the channel. One, um, we've been one. I do want to point out, and I'll point it out on the logo, that Sprecher uses a fire brewing process both for their sodas and for their beer, but it's unique. Very few breweries do this, and what it's doing is, at least what it's doing in the case of the soda that is sweetened with honey, with raw honey, also locally sourced, um, is that it's heating up the honey in these kettles with fire until the sugars become caramelized, which makes it like a sweeter sort of different mix than what you get with normal sugar. So we're going to see if we can like appreciate and see if I can taste the difference a little bit today. I'm really looking forward to that. Secondly, you remember how I said at the beginning of the video that it's really interesting that we've tried a lot of sodas that have been purchased by Sprecher, but like not one that's got like the name? There's a reason for that. In early 2020, Mr. Sprecher, sells the brewery. He retires and he sells his company to a bunch of Milwaukee investors. And since then, in that last 5 years, Sprecher, the brand, has gone on like a huge purchasing spree. And so they're buying all of these different diverse sodas which we have talked about because we talked about that both the Green River one and that blonde root beer soda where we talked about how they were recent purchases to diversify the brand. And so weirdly enough, if we had we being me, if I'd started this channel like 6 or 7 years earlier, we wouldn't have probably seen those connections at all. So they are truly expanding in a way that is utterly fascinating. I'll be interested to see what they go to get to next. But with that, we've talked enough about this. You guys don't care about this. So let's talk about the soda. So look at the can. I will say, I usually don't see it in cans. I usually see this stuff in bottles. So it's kind of interesting to me that it's in a can. Um, Again, you can see up here the honey, like as an antioxidant, fire brewed craft soda. And then on the back, you get like a little bit of a history, I'll read it. Um, Wisconsin's Door County cherry trees bear their scrumptious fruit. Ooh, scrumptious. Uh, just once a year, we selected and fire brewed the ripest Door County cherries with raw honey and natural flavors for a classic cherry craft soda that can only come from the Badger State. Cheers from Milwaukee's original craft brewery. And then even on here, you could see in the ingredients carbonated water, glucose syrup, Door County cherry juice. So I'm expecting a really rich tart cherry flavor because that's what Door County is known for. And with that, let's see what we're getting ourselves into. Oh, that smells like cherries. Let's see. Uh, I am actually going to go get a glass real quick. I think there might. I was thinking this was brown, but looking at it, it looks like there might be a little different color here. So I am going to go get a glass. I will be right back. Okay, we're back. And actually, I went and found uh, one of Mr. Weird's in my Milwaukee Brewing Company pint glasses. Craft beer made here. So I figured, what's more appropriate than pouring another Milwaukee original into a Milwaukee original, right? Oh, wow! Yeah, I called that. I thought the color looked different. Look at that. That is a really pretty pink. I don't think it's showing up nearly as nicely as it would like. Uh, oh, I have a Kleenex. Here we go. I wonder if this will help. Um, oh, that is a little bit more helpful. So you can kind of see that pink there. It's a little more pink there. Um, and that's a little unexpected. And look, the next time I cry, I'm ready. We'll put that, go back in there. Thank you. And yep, and just like I said before, I could smell the cherries before. I can definitely smell them now. With that, bottoms up. The verdict is in. I would drink that all day, every day. That's that's amazing. Is what it is. Um, okay, so full disclosure, of course, I love cherries. I love cherries and just about everything. And that really does taste a lot like drinking. Well, okay, so I'm going to say it tastes a lot like drinking fizzy maraschino cherry juice. Um, that may not be your jam, and I'm probably not selling it as well because if you're thinking about drinking that juice, it's thick. And this is not. This is very bubbly. This is very, there's a sweetness, but there's also a tartness there. And I think I think I was doing it a disservice before. So you see cherry soda. And what that commonly means with a lot of folks is that it's like a cherry plus a Coke base, right? And I expected that too. And this is not that. This is legitimately a soda made of cherries. And not a Coke or a cola or whatever. Um, and like you do get, I don't know how to put this. Um, in the flavor of the cherries, you have the tartness of the juice, but there is a sweetness there that isn't overbearing. I think a lot of it's a more mellow sweetness, if that makes sense. Um, a lot of sugars, especially the cane sugar stuff, really kind of like cuts through sometimes in a way that is like, oh, my teeth, they will rot out of my skull. And dangerously enough, I don't sense that with this. Now, it is sweet, um, but I don't feel like my teeth are going to fall out. I think the sweetness is a lot more mellow, and I suspect it probably has to do with the honey and how they cure it to make it more caramelized. Um, this is a no-brainer. If you like cherries at all, you will love this, and you should go get it. You should drink it, and if Sprecher wants to pay me a little bit for hyping it, I'm here for it. truly, I'm just kidding. But this is really, really good. I'm so glad that Mr. Weird got this for me, even though the man hates cherries. Um, A plus plus would drink again. Will drink again as soon as I'm done filming. So go get this. This was excellent. Uh, Next week we are trying a. Let's see, what are we trying? We are trying Um, Diet Coke with lime. Weirdly, it has released. It's a limited edition. It's got a retro label, and I think they're trying to make it more akin to, evoking like the '80s. We're gonna find out if it tastes well sublime. Ah, secret end pun. Who saw that coming? Not you. Anyway, until next time, drink weird and I I don't. I was gonna make a joke about letting my love open the door to cherry soda, but like that's no good. Um, so have a wonderful week, I guess. See you next time.